Alright, well, I'm a broke guy backpacking around the world, so you already know that I was going to be stopping in Thailand. But a fun fact about me that you might not know is that I worked in a Thai restaurant for about 3 years between high school and college. And that's where I fell in love with Thai food and was one of the main reasons I wanted to go to Thailand so badly. Plus, it's a little tropical paradise with the islands, there's an awesome mega city like Bangkok to visit, so there's a lot of appeal for going to Thailand. And another fun fact about Thailand actually is that they call it the land of smiles, and that's generally because of how friendly and warm they are towards tourists. But ain't shit to smile about because the lab fucked my film. Yeah, we're kind of cutting to the chase here, but it all looks like this. The lab developed my slide film, Ektachrome shot at box speed, in C41 chemistry, which doesn't completely ruin it like I thought it would, but it doesn't look good. Obviously it looks atrocious, but I'm showing the pictures anyway because I took them, and maybe together we can dream about what might have been. Anyway, I spent like 36 of the next 48 hours on planes getting from Costa Rica to Bangkok, and when I was planning out this whole thing, I kept on asking people like what to do in Bangkok, and a lot of people were like, oh, you should kind of skip it, it's not that cool, there's other better stuff to do. And when I started asking why, they're like, oh, it's big, it's dirty, and there's always people trying to scam you. And I was like, you know what, that sounds an awful lot like New York City. So I changed my trip from 4 days to 7, and I was right. Bangkok is dope. I started off on a high note because I took public transportation from the airport to downtown, and it was seamless. Clean, air-conditioned, on time, and affordable. What a dream. Then I got outside at 11 a.m. and it was hot. The 15-minute walk from the subway to my hostel with all the shit on my back was brutal. But soon enough, I was checked in, sat down in a restaurant eating pad thai, and it was delicious. And better yet, it was like $3 for my entire meal. Compare this to where I just was in Costa Rica, where I just paid $20 for a burger with no side. I was overcome with emotion. I'd been off the plane for like maybe 2 hours when I got this shot, and it's nothing real special, but I like it. I think it just does a decent job capturing my perspective of being someone who's never been in Asia before, never been in Bangkok before, and is just kind of a first-time traveler all around. Just to see a kind of relic like this almost, or these beautiful religious mini structures just kind of nestled in an alley, just a block away from the subway, kind of remind me of the stuff that John Seipel shoots around Tokyo. Now, I've never had the privilege of combating jet lag before, but what I've heard is that the strategy is to stay up pretty much all day to acclimate towards local time, and that'll help things speed up. So I figured I'd spend my day just kind of wandering some of Bangkok's bigger religious sites. The malls of Bangkok are crazy. They have amazing food courts with food you actually want to eat. There's 7 floors with all the stores you could pretty much ever think of. And then beyond that, they are packed. It's so interesting to see them thriving and doing so well when it feels like in America, they're pretty much dead. I probably stayed up till like 9 or something, and then I finally crashed, but I woke up before sunrise the next day to shoot Bangkok's Old Town because the stoke to shoot was just outweighing the sleepiness. Now, I didn't want to take a video of this because I thought it'd be weird, but the old people of Bangkok are moving at 6 a.m. I'm out there before sun is up, and this park that I'm at is full. And you know that public workout equipment that the US overspends on and never gets used? Yeah, well, everyone uses it here apparently, especially at 6 a.m. You can't find an open machine in that place. And then in addition to this, there's people jogging, walking, doing Tai Chi, playing basketball, and on top of that, there's like this radio announcement music playing hybrid system on these loudspeakers, just blaring. I don't know, I don't want to quite call it culture shock, but I was just in awe at like how different it was. I spent that day seeing some of the nearby tourist sites like the Gran Palace and the reclining Buddha, and they were obviously really spectacular, like really cool places, but I think it was probably the first time I really experienced over-tourism. There was just way too many people in there. The last time I felt anything close to that crowd was probably like Rockefeller Christmas tree on like December 23rd, which might put a little more context for you. It was rough. So yeah, I grabbed some quick pictures to show my family back home, but at a location like that, I'm not going to get anything special, so I just kept it pushing. That afternoon, I hit another mall to see this cool Pokemon spot. Low-key, it wasn't that impressive, but it was worth it to see this inflatable Quaxly. The next day, I went way out of my way to finally get my roll from Guatemala developed at a lab that I will not be name-dropping because they have a 50% hit rate on developing my film correctly. But they did have this kick-ass film vending machine, which didn't work the first time, but when I came back, it worked, and I was able to get some Fuji 400. So this makes up for something, I guess. Let's go! That night, I probably had the best Tom Yum of my life, sitting in a child-sized chair on the sidewalk. Absolutely life-changing, and like $2. You can find it here. The next day, I finally loaded up that roll of Ektachrome, blissfully unaware of the horrors that it would endure. It was a pretty standard morning from there, though. Coffee, breakfast, Michelin Guide recommended mango sticky rice. Nothing too out of the norm. But while the mango sticky rice was obviously baller, we gotta back up for a little sec. Take another look at this French toast, and look at the shapes. Look at the little bears they punched out of these bananas. What more could you want? Anyways, that day I wandered Bangkok some more and found my way into yet another mall. And at this point, I was pretty tired of looking like a raggedy hiker compared to everyone else in Siam. So I had to cop some fresh clothes. Honestly, I don't think I've ever bought anything from H&M before, but they got me with this t-shirt. It's pretty nice quality, actually, for what I expect from H&M, and it's literally a Kodak shirt. What was I supposed to do? It's kind of my thing. Then I picked up a few other things too. Not much, but just about anything looked better than the gray t-shirts that I've been wearing for the past month. Quick interruption from post-production Kevin. I was pretty tight about how this roll turned out, so I didn't give some of these shots enough love. But the deep fried saturation on these blue sky temple shots actually works pretty well. They're so completely over the top that it sort of conveys a fantasy or almost idyllic mood. Not what I was going for, but still kind of cool. And I'll take this time to hype up a few more shots that I have. This one is from the Jim Thompson house where I did a tour, and I remember walking past this stairwell and seeing this view of these red umbrellas. I adjusted my aperture to f5.6 real quick, opened up a bit, let it rip. The exposure on this one is definitely a little bit dim, but on the other hand, the highlights end up surviving the cross-processing because of that, which isn't the case for most of the photos that I took. I haven't edited any of these photos much at all, so I can probably tweak the shadows on this one and make this one print-worthy. And here's a few more night shots from throughout the week that didn't quite fit anywhere else. Now looking at least 10% better, I headed to Chinatown for sunset and dinner. And at this point, I'd been using the 24mm lens exclusively, so I decided to run the 50 for an evening. And at dinner, I ordered these 6 dumplings, which were all different colors, under the assumption that they were all different flavors, and they kind of were, but it turns out they were just all shrimp-flavored dumplings with something else. It's not that I hate shrimp dumplings, but at a place like Dim Sum where you can get like literally anything, 6 of them wouldn't be my first pick. Anyways, now it's Chinatown and golden hour, and Chinatown is already painted red and gold, so you know it looks better than ever. I really dig some of these frames, especially this square cropped one, which is probably currently the closest I'll ever come to shooting with a Hasselblad 500 series camera. And when the sun eventually set, I was able to get some clean neon light action. Now, I'm not someone to usually take pictures of people's faces brazenly in the name of street photography, but I did try to step out my comfort zone a little bit, and I do like some of the results. That night, I went to this bar that was on the same block as my hostel, like literally 3 stores down, and I definitely should have been going more earlier because they had delicious beer and the vibes were immaculate. And I was low-key feeling that 50mm from the night before, so I did one more photo walk around Old Town that morning, and I'm glad that I did because I got some of my favorite shots from Bangkok on that walk. In that area, there's just so many stores that have everything you could ever need to celebrate the Buddha or Buddhism in general, and they're just overflowing with all this gold material. It's just radiant, and I think these frames capture it pretty well. Alright, so now it's the last day in Bangkok, and now we come back to the point where I find out the lab ruined my film. And honestly, I was going to do kind of a recap portion, explain the situation, but I'm not even going to bother. It's not worth the effort. I'm actually just so thankful that they didn't ruin my roll from Guatemala, because, don't get me wrong, like, I like the pictures that were on the roll of Ektachrome, and the competitions are interesting. I think they're interesting photos of, like, my first time in Bangkok. All that's really special. But I think comparatively to what I had going for my roll of images in Guatemala, I think it's night and day. Like, if my Guatemala roll was ruined, I would have been crushed. So, shit happens, life goes on, what can you do? One thing I will say, though, is that I've been so scared in the past of developing my own color film because everyone says it's, like, much more detailed, stuff can go wrong, and I'm like, I really don't want to fuck up my film. But now I've had 2 professional labs fuck up my film, and I'm like, alright, well, we can just cut out the middleman. I can do this, surely, at least. So maybe I'll be doing that in the future. Anyways, all said and done, Bangkok's probably my favorite place that I visited so far. Yes, it was 100 degrees or more every single day, but those morning walks around the old town were just so tranquil, so peaceful, just such a beautiful place, and then the food and the people were obviously absolutely amazing, as I expected. So it was just an absolute treat to finally get there. The photos weren't groundbreaking or anything, but I think they did a decent job at capturing what I saw as someone who's there for the first time. So that's worth something. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Thanks for hanging around. If you were moved to the point of tears by this video for some reason, then be sure to drop a comment down below. And if you want to see the same pictures on a different platform, you should follow me on Instagram at Keiichi. And buy a print, you cheap pricks. See you next time.